everybody, and happy Wednesday. Hope your second week of classes is going really well. Good to be back doing the vlogs. Good to be back in the second semester. I know you heard from Lindsay last week about kind of getting back in the swing of things, how to get back into your morning routine and things like that. This week we're going to talk about surviving a Wisconsin winter, which you know, if you're born in Wisconsin, it's not too difficult. But you know, there's some little tips that I have and that we've talked about, that I talked about with Lindsay and in some of our meetings about different ways that you can, you know, stay warm, because we all have to walk to class. There's no way that you can't. Even if you drive to campus, you'd have to, you know, you park in your parking spot and then you walk to class, and it's cold sometimes. Like today, it's a chilly one out there. So one of the tips that I have about staying warm and things is I have these kind of gloves, and they're thin, but they kind of do the trick. They kind of keep you warm, and because you can't have those big gloves if you're gonna walk to class and carry things like your water bottle or things like that, and I always carry my water bottle around. So what I do is I get thin gloves, but make sure they're warm gloves, and sometimes I wear little even thinner gloves than these below, so then I kind of have 2 layers of gloves to stay warm. Another thing that I do, and you're probably wondering why I'm in the car, but sometimes if I'm getting, you know, if I'm studying for a lot inside and you can't really go outside and, you know, take a run or something or walk because it's, you know, 5 degrees out or something like that, what I like to do is I go out and just take a little drive around the city. And if you don't have a car, you could, you know, go with a friend who has a car, or say, hey, you know, if your roommate's standing there, you know, hey, let's go and take a quick drive and just kind of get out and get some fresh air. Or even if it's, you know, if it's 20-25 degrees, you can just go take a walk, just get out of the building a little bit. And that's what I like to do sometimes if I'm, you know, pretty cold and cramped up. Kind of one of the ideas that Lindsay and I came up with when talking about how to stay warm in the winter is, when on the way to classes, let's say you have to go all the way across campus for a class, is cutting through buildings. So let's say I have to go, you know, from Sanford Hall across to Morris, which is a very long walk. So if you can stay warm a little bit by maybe cutting through the U and you know, get a little warm and then go outside and then maybe cut through Centennial, sometimes the little tricks like that will help you keep warm all the way across campus, so then you don't have to brave, let's say, you know, if it's 10 degrees out and the wind chill's below 0, walking all that way is going to be pretty cold, especially on your face, even if you have hats and gloves on. So it's a good little trick that I do sometimes just to stay warm. A little something that I do to not get so hot and sweaty when I'm going upstairs in a building, say Centennial, if I'm going to the 3rd floor of Centennial, is I take off my hat and my gloves when I get into the building. And so then I unzip my jacket as well. So when I'm climbing the stairs, I'm not as hot, and then by the time I get up there, I'm not as sweaty as I would be if I kept my hat and mittens on while I went up the steps. Just a little tip. So then, because we all know going up to the 3rd floor of Centennial or any of those higher buildings, you get sweaty and you get a little winded. Well, I hope you learned a little something about how to survive a Wisconsin winter today, and hope you stay warm the last couple months of winter. You know, to be honest, in late February is when it starts really getting warmer out, and then usually in March it starts to feel like spring. So I'm excited for that. We can pull through about a month left of winter, and it's nice weather again. So have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week.